Good morning, America. Breaking new details about that terrifying baseball shooting. Targeting congressmen. The new video capturing the horrifying moments. That top member of Congress in critical condition.
And the next thing I heard was, run, he's got a gun.
The heroes, 2 wounded Capitol police officers taking down the gunman.
I need medics in the dugout. I got 1 injured.
Now, new details about the shooter. A 66-year-old former Bernie Sanders volunteer, angry over the president's election. Traveling from Illinois to Virginia, a regular at the YMCA right by the baseball field. Now federal agents racing to his home searching for clues. What triggered the rampage and were warning signs missed?
Overnight, President Trump and the First Lady visiting Congressman Steve Scalise, sitting by his bedside, and now another of the shooter's victims. Opening up about those terrifying moments right here on GMA, and Congress vowing to play that game tonight in front of thousands.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA. With Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning, America. First pitch at that congressional baseball game will be tonight. Let's take a live look at Nationals Park. That's where the lawmakers have promised the game will go on. They're going to play in honor of the victims of yesterday's shooting. And Robin is going to speak with one of the congressional staffers who was shot in a moment.
And Robin, you also sat down with Gabby Gifford
as
well.
Of course, she was the last victim of congressional violence, the former congresswoman from Arizona. And this morning, she and her husband, Mark Kelly, have a great message of unity for people on both sides of the aisle.
There were new developments overnight. Here's what we know right now. The gunman has been identified as 66-year-old James Hodgkinson from Illinois. He was shot and killed by police. And authorities are now poring over his social media accounts, which are filled with posts attacking President Trump and Republicans, including Congressman Steve Scalise. Scalise, a Republican from Louisiana, is one of 6 people injured in Wednesday's ambush. He remains in critical condition.
And last night, as we told you, President Trump and the First Lady visited Scalise at the hospital. The president tweeted that Scalise is in very tough shape, but he is a real fighter.
Is that? We have team coverage this morning. Amy on the scene in Alexandria, Virginia, with new details about those terrifying moments on the field. Good morning, Amy.
George, good morning to you. You know, it was almost this exact time of day yesterday when, in a matter of moments, this field here behind me went from a group of congressmen who were gearing up, practicing for their big game tonight, to an unthinkable, horrifying scene.
Shots ringing out on what was a quiet morning at the ball field. The team practicing early, at least 20 Republican congressmen preparing for their annual charity baseball game against the Democrats.
I thought it was a construction site dropping a very large piece of metal. And then the next thing I heard was, run, he's got a gun.
The lone gunman sending a bullet into the left hip of Louisiana Congressman and Republican House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. The bullet crossing Scalise's pelvis, fracturing bones, injuring internal organs, and causing severe bleeding. The congressman undergoing surgery immediately. This morning, he is in critical condition and will need additional operations.
Shots being fired, and there are people running, possibly victims involved.
The gunman, 66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson, beginning his rampage behind a fence between home plate and the third base dugout. Scalise, shot while playing second base, frightened team members taking cover in the first base dugout.
I poked my head up at one point behind the fence, but he still had a line of fire into the dugout.
You saw him right before he took that initial first shot.
I imagine I saw him just before he shot Scalise, but I had turned by that point because I heard get in the dugout.
Photographer Marty Lavore was there watching it all unfold.
What was the point at which you realized someone is shooting at us?
Well, I saw Scalise on the ground, but I heard it. A weapon that goes bing, 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 bing.
Scalise's security detail quickly jumping in, exchanging fire with the shooter.
We got 1 in custody. We need medics. Total of 5 down.
By 7:14, the gunman is dead. The scene scattered with abandoned equipment and left bullet-ridden, at least one shattering the window of this nearby YMCA.
We were sitting ducks. I mean, we had nothing to fight back with but bats.
The team's manager, Representative Joe Barton, was at practice with his 2 sons, including 10-year-old Jack.
He had 25 dads, everybody out there. was looking out for him.
The gunman shooting 4 people with 2 others hurt with secondary injuries, including the 2 Capitol police officers now hailed as heroes.
Without them there, this would have been a massacre of major proportions of innocent men, women, and children at a park that is very peaceful at 6:30 in the morning when we go out there.
Capitol Hill photographer Marty Lavore told us several times when we talked to him last night how grateful he was for those 2 very brave Capitol Hill police officers who were here on this field protecting the lives of all the men out here. But he stressed to us he isn't just grateful for what they did yesterday, he's grateful for what they do every single day, putting their lives on the line for others. Robin?
All right, Amy, thank you very much. And joining us now from Washington, our Congressman Roger Williams of Texas, who is a coach of the GOP baseball team, and his aide, Zach Barth, who was wounded by the shooter. It is so good to see both of you this morning. Zach, let me begin with you because you were shot in the leg. So how are you feeling this morning, Zach?
You know, I'm okay. The leg is going to be okay. The bullet went clean through, and I'm, honestly, I'm blessed to be alive. It was a very scary moment, but without Agents Bailey and Griner, I think it would have been much worse. And so we're so blessed to have them on our team and the rest of Capitol Police.
Blessings, you are so right about that, young man. Congressman Williams, when did you know that something was happening? Where were you on the field when the shooting began?
I hit the first ground ball to Steve, and all of a sudden we heard this pow, and I originally thought, like many, that it was a car that might have backfired, but then they started coming at a rapid pace, and I did what, I don't know why I did it, but I went and ran into the dugout, which is in the ground about 6 feet. I literally dove into the dugout, and a lot of my colleagues were there, and it wasn't but about a short period of time that Zach came in from the outfield, and he jumped in there, and we ended up holding each other along with Flake and Mo Brooks. And I think it was Mo Brooks that took his belt off and gave it to Flake and myself, and to help Zach put a tourniquet on his leg to slow the blood down. But it was that moment, and I also want to say that without the Capitol Police, we probably would not be here today. They did an unbelievable job, and that thin blue line worked. And I think that people across our country need to know how important they were, and I think we owe everything to them.
Absolutely, sir. I'm glad that you said that. Zach, how were you able to make it from the outfield having been shot?
Well, so I was in center field, just shagging fly balls whenever the shooting began. I ran to right field and just hit the deck, and at that point the shooter trained his rifle on me, and everything around me just started to pop. Then I felt the bullet hit my leg. I decided that wasn't the place I needed to be. I was just a sitting duck out there. So I made a run down the right field line, or third base line rather, and ran into the dugout, literally running for my life. And at that point, it was just all adrenaline, my fight or flight reflex just taking me down.
And everyone in there was doing their best to help you and to stop the bleeding, as Congressman Williams just said. But I know that Congressman Brooks said that he told you, you've been shot. And Zach, did you really respond? It's not a big deal?
In the moment, I was thinking mainly about just staying alive, just keeping everybody's heads down. And my wound, clearly I was able to run on it. So in the moment, I thought it must have not been that bad, but that I was able to just kind of get down there. But I was really just trying to stay alive. I wasn't really thinking about the severity of my injuries at that moment.
The response from the nation has been overwhelming, and I know that the game is going to go on, and Representative Williams says, just tell people why that is so important.
Well, I think it's important. Speaker Ryan called myself and Joe Barton and our colleague Congressman Doyle on the Democratic side to see if we thought we should play, and we all agreed we should. For a lot of reasons. I mean, if we don't play this game, it's for charity, but if we don't play this game, it's been played 100 years, then we let these people that want to change the way we live in this country forever, and we're not going to allow that to happen. As I said yesterday, when America gets punched, America punches back. And we take days on in America, not off. And this is going to be a great event tonight. It goes to charity. I'm hoping that we'll have 50,000 people in the stands. So we need to play this game, and it's the game of America. It's bipartisan. We're looking forward to playing it. and it's the right thing to do.
Well said, sir. Well said. Gentlemen, thank you both very, very much, and we wish you all the best going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that place is going to be packed for that game.
I love Zach. Not a big deal.
I know, really. Again, he said that. And he said, you know, adrenaline is just flowing like that. I mean, you know, to be shot, but the reaction from everyone in the dugout to help in any way possible.
Save that little boy as well.
Yes.
We are learning more about the shooter. Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, here with new details. Good morning, Brian.
Well, good morning, George. The picture emerging this morning of the shooter is that of a 66-year-old man whose life was marked by failure and personal tragedy, outraged by the election of President Trump and a Republican Congress.
As federal agents rushed to his home in Belleville, Illinois, his neighbors say James Hodgkinson, known to them as Tom, was an angry man who vented about politics as his life fell apart, appearing on the local Fox affiliate during an Occupy Wall Street protest in St. Louis.
The 99% are getting pushed around, and the 1% are just not giving a damn.
In last year's election, Hodgkinson actively supported Senator Bernie Sanders, serving as a volunteer in the Iowa primary, to the senator's disgust.
I am sickened by this despicable act.
Authorities still don't know what triggered his rampage at the baseball field. 2 years ago, on his Facebook page, Hodgkinson commented on an editorial cartoon critical of Congressman Steve Scalise. Here's a Republican that should lose his job. Then on March 22nd this year, Hodgkinson wrote, "Trump is a traitor. Trump has destroyed our democracy. It's time to destroy Trump and company." 2 days later, neighbors called police to say that Hodgkinson had fired off 50 shots into the air near his home.
That's when we brought the little kids in and called the sheriff.
The sheriff's report says no charges were brought. Hodgkinson's gun was not seized because, they said, he had a valid Illinois firearm owner's ID card.
He said he would quit shooting and that he would actually take his gun to a gun range where it was safer.
Just a few days later, Hodgkinson left for Washington, living out of his truck, showering in the morning at the YMCA in Alexandria, just across the street from the baseball field.
I could see things, that was very visible that looked like he was living out of his gym bag as opposed to just, clothes for the day.
He was a regular at the Pork Barrel Barbecue in Alexandria, remembered by bartenders as a creepy guy who spent long days drinking beer and watching golf on television.
He was pretty short and not exactly a warm, person.
Hodgkinson's wife told ABC News she thought he was about to come home this week, where reminders of his failed life awaited. His home inspection business had gone under at the end of last year, and much earlier, he was cut off from city business after some very strange behavior.
Going into the offices, rifling through a desk, and then becoming loud and vocal and having to be told to leave.
This morning, the FBI still has a lot of questions about this crazed shooter, his motives, his weapons, his associates, asking anyone who knew him or even came across him to contact the FBI. George.
Okay, Brian, thanks. Let's get more on this now from our senior justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, and former FBI special agent and ABC News consultant, Brad Garrett. Welcome to you both. And Pierre, let's begin. Authorities also doing a lot to track down his weapons.
Yeah, George, good morning. Because Hodgkinson apparently had no felony convictions, he bought the weapons recovered in the shooting legally in Illinois. Sources tell us the primary weapon used in the shooting is a SKS assault-style rifle. Police also recovered a Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol. Not clear if that was used in the attempted massacre. The suspect also owned a shotgun. He apparently obtained a permit to carry a concealed weapon in the last 2 months or so, George.
And Brad, the profile of Hodgkinson filling in pretty quickly.
Exactly, George. A guy that's basically going downhill, that everything is not working in life. And what happens is, when that happens, people then tend to externalize their anger that turns to rage, and then they can justify in their own mind to go harm the people they perceive caused them their grief.
And a lot of these angry political posts directed at President Trump, directed at Steve Scalise, directed at Republicans generally, but no threats in there. So was there anything the FBI, Secret Service, anyone could have done ahead of time to stop this?
I don't think so, George. I mean, the First Amendment is going to carry him through. If he'd made specific threats that he was going to go actually harm the president or somebody in Congress or anyone, then perhaps someone could have moved on him. But short of that, you can pretty much say what you want to say.
And Pierre, a lot of questions now about congressional security. We know that because Steve Scalise is a member of the leadership, he had a security detail there, and they made a huge difference yesterday. But now questions again about what rank and file members need.
Yeah, one thing we heard from the congressman yesterday is that it's typically only the leadership that gets a security detail when they're outside the grounds of the Capitol. Some said if it had not been for that detail, it would have been much, much worse. I think we're now going to see congressmen consider expanding security when they're congregating outside of Capitol Hill. Leaders in the group are not. Clearly, they are targeted, especially in this region, where we've seen a series of unstable people showing up to either the Capitol or the White House, doing everything from committing suicide or pulling out weapons, George.
Big problem, Pierre. Thomas, Brad Garrett, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. We're going to go more now on the baseball game. And as you heard, it's an annual event to raise money for charity, pitting Republicans against Democrats, all for a good cause. And tonight, the game will go on. And let's go to ABC's Mary Bruce at Nationals Park. And Mary, we're seeing a real show of unity from members of both parties.
Michael, good morning. Well, across this city, a bipartisan show of force, calls for unity and calls to tone down the divisive rhetoric. Lawmakers I've talked with, many Republicans who were on that field, say that this is their breaking point, that the vitriol has to change. And tonight, right here, a show of unity at Nationals Park. The congressional baseball game is a go. Democrats and Republicans hope that by still playing, they can send a clear message that Americans do not back down from fear. Now, many we have talked with say that this is a Washington tradition. This is a charity game, and they feel that will be a chance for lawmakers here to put aside those differences, and tonight an opportunity to honor the wounded and also pay tribute to those heroes. Michael, these stands tonight are going to be packed.
And Mary, we learned tonight that both teams are going to wear special uniforms.
Yeah, both teams will be wearing jerseys from the Louisiana State University, of course, in honor of Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise and his beloved school. Michael.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Okay, we're going to move on now to that major new development in the Russia investigation. Special Counsel Robert Mueller now investigating President Trump for possible obstruction of justice. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has all the latest on that. Good morning, Cecilia. It has caught the eye of the president already.
Yeah, George, the White House said they wouldn't be talking about this special counsel, but the president himself is tweeting about it this morning. Take a look. This is in reference to that Washington Post story. Clearly, here's what he tweeted. They made up a phony collusion with the Russian story, found zero proof, so now they go for obstruction of justice on the phony story. Nice. So the focus of the investigation had been the president's aides and their dealings with the Russians. But as you said, the Washington Post is now saying that Special Counsel Robert Mueller is looking into the president himself for possible obstruction of justice. Former FBI Director James Comey just last week had testified that he told the president he was not under investigation. It seems that changed right after Comey was fired. But George, a key question right now, did the president ask Comey or others to back off of that Russian investigation?
Yeah, and this is going to become more than a he said case. It's apparent that Comey is going to be interviewing several individuals, including the Director of National Intelligence, the Director of the National Security Agency.
Yeah, it looks like they're also focused on Dan Coats and whether the president asked him also to intervene and get the investigation to back off of the issue of Russia and former Director of National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. Trump's lawyers are speaking out. They call this a leak that is outrageous, inexcusable, and illegal, George.
Okay, Cecilia Vega, thanks very much. Robert.
And we're going to go now to Ginger. Lots of severe weather from the Great Lakes to Texas. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning to you, Robin. One of 6 reported tornadoes. You can see the image there in Angelica, Wisconsin. Just east of Angelica in Pulaski, this would be the damage that we saw from likely the tornado. We'll get all the confirmations later today. Hail damage in Odessa, Texas to a windshield, and the severe threat today, 2 pockets. One in the plains, including Wichita, and one right here in the Mid-South off of the boundary. All right, Comfortable Cities now, brought to you by Sprint.
Hi, I'm Paul. People ask why I switched to Sprint. Well, their network reliability is within 1% of the big guys, and they have the best price for unlimited among national carriers. And wait, are you watching this on the awesome iPhone 7? You gotta get iPhone 7 from Sprint, and they'll give you a second one on them. What are you doing? Go switch to Sprint.
Who's he talking to?
I don't know, but I'd better go to Sprint.
Wait.
2 iPhone 7s! Love you!
Get Sprint Unlimited. And now, get iPhone 7 and get a second iPhone 7 on us.
Well, enjoy your Thursday. It is going to be relatively quiet with a break from the humidity. Our temperatures into the lower to mid 80s, one of the best days that we've had since last Saturday. For the weekend, heat and humidity both on the rise. 92 we're forecasting for Father's Day. The record 97, so getting at least close to it. We'll track some showers and storms. Slight chance today and tomorrow. Better chance the weekend and especially Monday. Most of next week we'll have highs in the mid to upper 80s.